Hello and welcome to another edition of Have You Heard About here on the Worst Collection Ever podcast feed, the Worst Collection Ever umbrella of media offerings. I am your host, Sean, doing this because we had some plans to do another Punisher comic, and some stuff that's been going on here that we're trying to sort out. So unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do it as planned. So I wanted to make sure at least we got something out, and we'll pick up on the Punisher, I think, when we get back, because I do want to finish the book that we had, the Punisher in Las Vegas. So that's actually kind of neat. Nonetheless, though, I wanted to take a moment here to talk about a character that is tangentially related to the Punisher in a very loose sense. So normally what I would do is get my Marvel official handbook, whatever, my big tome that I read from, and I would talk about something related to, a character, that we're discussing in the books. And, Punisher, obviously I could just talk about the Punisher. Obviously I could talk about Spider-Man, I guess. But we are actually in this period here with this book, with the Marvel handbook, that it doesn't really cover characters that the Punisher is known for interacting with as much, because he really wasn't a bigger deal around that time, which was like 86, 87. And I was hoping that because there's the Marvel handbook updates for 1989, I have a few of those. I figured maybe I can try to sneak something in here. And I don't have all of them. I'm missing a few. But, I figured I'd get something out. And it's 1989, so his ongoing is just started, which is actually kind of the time we're doing the books that we're covering. And we don't really have a whole lot of, Jigsaw to talk about, or I try to think of some other main guys. I mean, Microchip, there's no entries for these people that I have. And I can go online and do that, but I don't really want to do that. I like to do something with the physical media that I'm holding in my hand right now. So as you can tell by the title of this episode, it's going to be the Lobo Brothers. The brothers who were in a cartel, who started a cartel, and they were also werewolves. They were both werewolves. They were both mutant werewolves. But let's just jump right into it. So according to my book that I got here, which is the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, 89, update 89, number 4, it just features Carlos Lobo, probably because the other brother, Eduardo, was actually killed and hasn't come back, surprisingly. But this is the remaining Lobo brother, but it's pretty much just an entry for both Lobo brothers. So we'll just go ahead and just jump right into it. You have Eduardo and Carlos Lobo, their real names: professional criminal, publicly known identity, citizen of Mexico with no known criminal record, no other aliases, place of birth, and unidentified village in Mexico, marital status single, known relatives: Eduardo, deceased, unnamed mother, unnamed sisters, but that will change in a little bit. Group affiliation: former partner of Eduardo Lobo, leader of the Los Hermanos de la Luna, which is just the Brothers of the Moon, and I love that. Base of operations: originally Mexico, later South Texas, with the headquarters in a mansion on Grapevine Lake near Dallas and also New York City. Very briefly, though. First appearance: Spectacular Spider-Man number 143, and their origin is Spectacular Spider-Man number 152.
Do you like comics? The 1960s? How about middle-aged gay couples gossiping about their neighbors? Then you'll love Checkered Past,
a loving examination of DC's Go-Go Check branded comic magazines published from February 1966 to August 1967.
I'm Dr. Bob.
And I'm Dr. Husband.
And each week we'll be your hosts on a trippy tour through mid-century four-color madness. Checkered Past, available wherever fine podcasts are downloaded for free.
So here's the history. Eduardo and Carlos Lobo were two brothers, grew up in poverty in a rural village in Mexico. They would, steal and do whatever they had to do to survive. But as they were kids, the brothers were able to move faster and see better in the dark than their friends. I wonder why. Maybe they're part lupine. One day when Eduardo was 17, he tried to steal a calf, and he encountered a girl named Bonita. He scared her horse and she fell off the horse, but he saved her, and they became lovers. I love that we're just using the name Bonita, because that's just basically just beautiful in Spanish. I'm like, you could have, I don't know if I am familiar with too many, I don't know many Hispanic women with the first name Bonita, outside of like, like a nickname or something. But I mean, you could have used like literally any other name. You could have called her Maria. You could have called her, I'm sorry, I can't think of Maria. But you get what I mean. But anyways, one night, her brother, Medea's brothers, found Eduardo and Benita together, and they were mad that he was lower class, so they attacked him. And because there was a full moon, keep that in mind, Eduardo became a wolf for the first time, a humanoid wolf, and he was seized with bloodlust and not only killed Bonita's brothers, but also Bonita herself. He turned back to human, and him and Carlos left Mexico, going to Texas to escape the heat. In Texas, the brothers became involved in the gang war with other Hispanic gangs and managed to broker a peace between them. And this is how they became the Los Hermanos de la Luna. But soon, the gang leaders all disappeared because they were probably being systematically murdered by wolves. And the Lobo brothers were soon the head of the organization. They like to point out in here that not only once but twice they mentioned they ran a sophisticated drug smuggling operation. It's an easy going. You go in, you get yourself a nice drink. They bring you some of the yayo. You go, oh, that's some good yayo. And then you walk out and you go, that was a sophisticated drug smuggling operation. I appreciated the ease at which I was able to obtain my illegal narcotics. The brothers decided to leave for New York City and wanted to take over the Kingpin's territory. The Kingpin had this guy called the Arranger, who's just a guy. When you look him up in Marvel Wiki, it's just a dude named Oswald, and his picture is him, is like a nerdlinger guy, and he's like dabbing his head with like a cloth because he's a sweaty nerdlinger guy. He's very nervous, you see. But he's very good at his job. And the Arranger got in touch with another mutant named, his name was Roland Raymond. And he goes by the name of the Persuader, who I looked this guy up to. And Roland Raymond, turns out, was a Wall Street trader who was not aware of his ability to do mutant stuff that, as his name implies, as being the Persuader, he's able to persuade people to do things that he wants. But somehow this Arranger fellow knew this guy was good to go. So he got in touch with him and he was like, hey, how about, it's kind of convoluted because Kingpin's got a guy and he has to go to another guy. And the other guy, he wants the other guy to convince the Punisher to assassinate the Lobo brothers. So instead of just hiring somebody to assassinate the Lobo brothers, like the Kingpin could have just been, could have done it himself, or he has to go through his Arranger guy. He has to go through another channel to convince somebody else to do his bidding. And he's doing it, and he's getting one of the most volatile personalities in the Marvel Universe, the Punisher, to do his bidding. This is where Spider-Man intervenes. Spider-Man shows up and is like, hey, let's not do that. And the Punisher and the Persuader and Spider-Man all have some sort of fight, and the Punisher breaks free of the control that the Persuader put on him and murders the Persuader. And it's great when you go on the Marvel Wiki because, first of all, you see this Persuader's costume. It is not great. I don't know if he's white or if he's yellow or if he's glowing, and he's got like some sort of like disc in the center, and he's got these glasses that are doing, I guess it's supposed to enhance his power. So I guess if you're going to go to the Punisher and try to make him do your bidding, that's what you're going to do. Get the glasses going. But it did not work. And you also, but you do get his death shot. The comic, it's actually this guy is getting air as he's being shot through the chest by Frank from the front, and you see him from behind. The Lobo brothers, though, were like, all right, look, we're going to step up this gang war. We're going to step up. We're going to take over the Kingpin's operation. And Eduardo, being the Lothario of the two, fell in love with Gloria Grant, who is one of the secretaries at the Daily Bugle. And this is where these brothers fought Spider-Man. But before the brothers did a helicopter raid on the Kingpin's penthouse. They did pretty good for themselves. And I think actually this ends up leading to the Arranger getting murdered too, because Kingpin is like, man, I'm the Kingpin. Nobody should even get to the top of the penthouse, let alone get through the penthouse and kill a bunch of my guys. And he felt that the Arranger was responsible for some of that slipping. Nothing's going well for anybody today. Eventually, the Lobo brothers, and Spider-Man fight in Central Park. Looks like it over in New York City. Eduardo is murdered by Gloria Grant, who I guess was supposed to be shooting Spider-Man with the Arranger's gun and had a silver bullet in it, but he ends up shooting the actual werewolf that it was intended for. And Carlos goes off to do other things for a while. He does come back and ends up meeting up with his sister, Esmeralda, as I mentioned earlier. His sister, Esmeralda, who's also a werewolf, but they end up getting involved with human trafficking. And there's this girl, Hummingbird, that they're trying to work with. And eventually, Esmeralda, I don't know what happens to her. She just kind of disappears. But Carlos, the one we're talking about here, ends up being injured by the Other, which is like a big spider being of something that went on in the Spider-Man comics way after I was not reading. While he was recuperating, this fella, Mr. Moctezuma, murdered him using a breath spell. And that's how that ends with the history. But let's talk about some stats. Height 6'2", weight 200 pounds, eyes brown. Okay, so eyes brown as a human, hair black as a human, but as a werewolf, he had red eyes and gray hair. Normal strength level, of course, he is Carlos Lobo is a normal human who engages in intensive regular exercise, not Olympic, but intensive. But as a werewolf, he was able to press. Okay, this doesn't make sense here. So they're both brothers that turn to werewolves, but Carlos doesn't get the weight stat, the superhero weight stats, but Eduardo does, and he's able to press at least to 10 tons. That's a lot. I feel like that's a lot for a werewolf. I don't feel like are werewolves, like you would think it would be in like the low, like at least below a ton, but like still in the higher strength levels. But 10 tons, that's pretty good. But Carlos and I guess Eduardo, it should have just been for the Lobo brothers. I don't know why it's confused. You could talk about both brothers. You could say one died. It doesn't need to be this confusing because they're kind of jumping back and forth here. But the brothers were humanoid werewolves, but unlike Wolfsbane, this is the key here. Wolfsbane could just turn to a werewolf whenever she wanted. That is her mutant power. But the Lobo brothers' mutant power is to turn into werewolves only when the moon is full, which I guess is cool because you're not afflicted by being a mutant. I guess if that's the thing that you're frustrated with, it's most of the month that you're doing okay. But then you get towards the end of the month and it's like, oh shit, it's that time of the month. I'm going to turn to a werewolf. But the werewolf stuff still kind of is supernatural. You see, because human weapons will affect him, but it's silver weapons that can kill him. Like a silver bullet will actually kill him, where I'm sure if you shoot Wolfsbane with a silver bullet, she might be just fine. I mean, probably won't be great, but I don't know. I've never actually, maybe I should look that up. But yeah, again, as a werewolf, superhuman strength and agility, acute night vision, and hearing and smell. The cool thing, though, is that just like I think Wolfsbane, you are a werewolf, but you're still human enough to have normal intelligence, but you're also like more into like killing because you are a werewolf. So you got a little bit of both going on. And as I mentioned earlier, Eduardo and I'm assuming Carlos are more agile and able to see in the dark better than humans because of their mutation. And I guess that's where the mutation is they're able to maintain it outside of the full moon. Maybe it's just more enhanced during a full moon when they actually do turn into werewolves, but not when they're werewolves. I've never seen that, though. where it's a very mystical based mutant ability. I know they exist. I found that interesting because you think if you're just gonna be if you're just gonna be a werewolf with the power of lycanthropy, it's just full on, like, you don't have to wait till a certain time. Nonetheless, that is the entry itself. I closed the book and I forgot where the pictures are, but I did want to bring up, there are some pictures here. You got a picture of, I guess, Carlos standing here, and he's wearing a nice shirt and slacks, and then you got his werewolf form behind him, and then you got a panel of him tussling with Spider-Man and a bunch of dirt. Looks like Pig Pan is nearby. You got a photo of the brothers here, or you got a drawing of the brothers here fighting a bunch of dudes as wolves, throwing dudes, throwing guns. You got a drawing of the Lobo brothers as kids running with a chicken, and there's a silhouette of a guy doing that old, like, with his hands in the air, like, you kids. And then you have a panel of, I'm assuming, Carlos turning into a werewolf, like, step by step, in the light of the full moon. And that's going to do it for this entry of Have You Heard About? It was kind of unexpected. So I did my best here to talk about something. I hope it went well. I was not aware that these werewolves are not quite werewolves, but they are werewolves. That is interesting to me. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening. Find us on our socials at Angry Hill Sean and at Jen Stansfield. Please rate and review the podcast anywhere you get it. Check us out on our YouTube at Worst Collection Ever, and email the show at worstcollectionever@gmail.com. And once again, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.